Please don't skip ahead yet. Hi, this is your friendly neighborhood 80 slasher librarian, Josh LaRue. Just need a moment of your time. A lot of people don't know, but we're not able to monetize the channel here on YouTube due to the fact that the copyright holders of the books I narrate, the movies we riff, they get the ad revenue, and also being a partner on YouTube involves a lot of rules and censorship, and to do so would make it where a lot of the content, the audiobooks, the riffs, would have to be heavily censored or deleted completely. So we depend on amazing slashaholics like you to help fund the channel and keep it going and growing for years to come. And there's several fun ways to do that. You could join our Patreon right up there. And as a patron, you can join for as low as like $2, $5, $10 a month, on up as high as you want, and enjoy a lot of cool gifts like free ebooks, early access, exclusive content, even voicing characters and audiobooks here on the channel. You could also go to our PayPal and use the QR code right there, and you can donate directly to the channel. We see all donations and we appreciate all of them. If you don't want to use the QR code or don't know how, you can use our PayPal email address, which will be in the description below and the pinned comment, as well as our Cash App donation username. And a fun way to help the channel is through our Cameo right down there. On Cameo, you can ask for a birthday video, anniversary video. You can ask us to sing a song or something, or ask us questions, and you can get a video from me, Alex, Sean, Master Evil, Mother Evil, the Rodeo Clown, any character from any show on the channel, or any character that I've voiced in the audiobooks. It's a fun way to help the channel. It's only $10 a video, and we'll have a lot of fun doing that. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed tonight's content. Be excellent to each other. Please consider helping the channel. And always remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it. Thank you. Tell you what Cenobites sound like. Cenobites sound like something you go to McDonald's and you're like, yeah, I need and 2 English McMuffins. Let me see here. Sausage and cheese biscuit and a small order of Cenobites. Like little cinnamon rolls or something.
You know, sir, it's past 11 o'clock. You can only get Cenobites for breakfast.
Well, I've got the puzzle box, so give me a second. I'll show you some.
By the way, before we even start this episode, the puzzle box, it's like, it doesn't even look. I know that it's a puzzle box and you're trying to like solve it, but they're not solving anything. All they're doing is running their fingers on the outside of it. They're not actively. There's no pieces that they're moving around to actively, like, you know what I'm saying?
Wait.
Good afternoon and welcome to episode number 9 of Slash Trax Reviews. I'm Alex Vanover, and with me, as always, is your best friend and mine, the 80s slasher librarian, Mr. Josh LaRue.
Yes, and I feel like something terrifying is like staring over my shoulder right now. Think that has anything to do with what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Check that out.
We got a present for you at least.
You asked for the review. We came. Josh, today let's let the Slashaholics in on a little secret. This is a secret, impromptu, out of nowhere, just like the New Blood episode. We're not even promoting this episode. We're just going to drop it on Saturday morning. We are reviewing and discussing the 1987 classic film Hellraiser. Josh, are you pumped?
Yes. One of my favorite franchises. I really enjoy some of the sequels better than this one, but we'll get into all that. But it's got such a great premise. I was disappointed with the remake they made recently, or reboot, I don't know. But looking forward to the TV series they might make. So, but yeah.
Yeah, Hellraiser was one of those franchises, like when Josh and I were younger, Slashaholics, like when I'd go to the local video store and I would see like the poster for the new Hellraiser movie, or like the cardboard cutout with like I specifically remember Hellraiser 3 having a large cutout, like
Mhm.
when you'd go to the video store. It would scare the hell out of me. Like, and I was a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan, and also like a Friday the 13th and a Halloween and a Return of the Living Dead. But for some reason, I would steer clear of these Hellraiser movies, and I'm not really sure why, but I think just the imagery of Pinhead like just scared the hell out of me as a kid.
Yeah, part two came out around the time that my family went out. My dad and my sisters went into a theater, different theater. They went to see Ernest Saves Christmas, and my mom took me to see The Land Before Time. And
Yeah.
out in the lobby, there was a Hellraiser 2 pinhead cutout, cardboard cutout. I had nightmares just from the cutout, and I avoided this movie until I was an adult. I think I was like 20 or something the first time I watched all the Hellraiser films. So,
Yeah. I had watched these movies like completely out of order. I remember when we had Showtime for a little bit. Like I had seen the first Hellraiser movie I ever saw, I think was, oh my goodness, it was the one we were talking about with the guy from Nightbreed who's the detective. He's like investigating something, but he's like a dirty cop.
that's like part 6 or something.
Yeah, it was like part 6. It was like on Showtime. And I also remember watching the one where it was the Hellraiser where it was a game. It was like a computer game.
Part 8, yes, Hellworld.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that one.
And that's an underrated movie, by the way. I actually enjoyed that
It's
movie.
got Superman in it. Superman's
From
in it.
for Dean Cain or Smallville Superman.
The new Superman, the latest one from the
What?
Justice League movie and stuff. Yeah, Henry
Okay, so
Cavill. Henry Cavill.
is he just as Jack? I don't remember him being as Jack. Was he super Jack
No,
back
he
then?
was not as jacked in it. No. Well, I
Ah,
guarantee Master Evil has got the Hellraiser films on lock ready for us to riff someday. So I'm sure that we'll be having to riff that. But yeah,
good
he's
evening, prisoners. I present to you Ghoulies 4, but first, Hellraisers 1 through 12.
oh Jesus.
That's a huge missed opportunity by the movie makers by not having Superman versus Pinhead.
Yeah, that would be great.
They
He'd
blew
use
it. They
like
had both
little
of them on set.
kryptonite hooks and stuff. That would be wicked.
Well, Superman's impervious, so even if the hooks hit, they would just like hit and just boing, like bend, they would do nothing.
Well, it's funny you said impervious because this movie has a lot of perving going on from a certain uncle for his
Uncle
niece.
Uncle Frank.
Oh my God. So bad.
Let's get into the like a couple of the facts, like who directed it, who starred in it. Let's like do the usual stuff we do.
Okay.
So, in case you've been living under a rock since 1987, the man responsible for writing and directing this film is the legend Clive Barker. Clive Barker, this was his directorial debut, actually, Josh. This is his
Wow.
first movie he ever directed.
I can tell.
Um, he was also responsible for writing and directing Nightbreed. And a lot of people don't know this. You probably do, but I bet you a lot of slashaholics don't know this. The Candyman universe and the first Candyman film, the second Candyman film, kind of all the lore around Candyman was based off of a story that Clive Barker wrote called The Forbidden. So Clive Barker's kind of responsible for two large universes in the whole, horror
Yeah.
community, but also Nightbreed was a if you could Nightbreed is a film, if you go back and rewatch it, it's
Not
really
really a
interesting. It's
horror.
got some themes of like hell in that one as well. It's just like I'm not really going to go into Nightbreed that much, but I do remember watching it a couple times, and I do remember liking the visual effects, and I like the concept of it. I don't think it was executed that well, though.
Yeah, it's like chopped up and stuff. You have to get the director's cut or whatever to really see what it was supposed to be. It's not really a
Yeah,
horror movie. It's kind of
it's
like The People Under the Stairs. It's very misleading if you see the poster or the trailer
yeah.
or whatever. You're expecting something else. Was Clyde Barker attached to The People Under the Stairs? I can't remember.
No, that was Wes Craven.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yep.
And
Very
Wes
Nightbreedish.
Craven, dude. People under the children. What Children under the Stairs? Is that what it was called?
The People Under the Stairs.
People under the Stairs. The kid from The Sandlot was in that movie too. De Nunez. He was a really good pitcher. Anyway, total sidetrack there, like we always do. But this movie starred a young Ashley Lawrence, and she plays Kirsty Cotton. So she's like the final girl of this film. And then Andrew Robinson, Josh, plays her father, Larry Cotton. And guys and girls and Josh and everybody knows Larry Cotton from his starring role as the barber in Child's Play 3. And he was also in a major blockbuster. This was probably what everybody remembers him from. Huge, huge career choice that paid off in spades. He was the sheriff in Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings.
Oh, I remember
So,
that now. Presto,
yeah,
the
yeah,
famous.
yeah. He's been in a lot of just huge blockbuster films throughout the ages. Sean Chapman, as Josh was referring to just moments ago, plays sweet Uncle Frank Cotton, who, by the way, Josh, is actually, upon rewatching this film, he is the true villain of this movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
definitely. Doug Bradley making his first appearance as Pinhead, and he's not even credited as being Pinhead in the credits. He's just lead Cenobite.
I thought it
That's
was
his.
Hell Priest.
It might have been, I think, Hell Priest in the book.
Okay,
But
yeah.
in the film, now don't quote me, Slash Alex, but I believe it says lead Cenobite. So he's
Fans,
not Pinhead yet.
yeah, fans named him Pinhead. Like
Mhm.
it wasn't Clyde Barker that named him Pinhead. It was like a fan thing, and they went with it in the sequels. So
Yeah. And what's funny is Mick Foley had just started on the independent scene at this point, and when he first saw Pinhead, he's like just kind of giggled to himself because he's like, that ain't shit. Like I've done way worse than that in Japan in a death match.
look at my
Like,
back, pin
yeah,
back, asshole.
yeah, fuck you. Terry Funk and I have done way more than that. You Cenobite bullshit, baby back bitch stuff.
Did you hear that Terry Funk's coming back from death for one more match?
Your mother's a whore, Pinhead.
Nothing will stop him. I wouldn't be surprised if Terry Funk rose from the grave to do one more match, but I
Terry
digress.
Funk rises from the grave, and his tag team partner is the Grim Reaper.
Ooh, Monster Brawl too, buddy.
He could be in
Remember,
it.
remember Monster Brawl?
Barely. I think I nodded off a couple times
Me
when we were
too.
riffing.
Like somewhere during the riff for like 10 minutes, it's just
Well, I just remember you being like, there was dead air for a little bit, and you're like, Alex, you there? I'm like, yeah. I just don't have anything to say about this.
yeah,
Um,
it's riffing
Also,
itself.
okay, so there's also, I didn't get their names down, but the other Cenobites' names are Butterball, not even the Chatterer. It's just Chattering Cenobite,
Okay.
and it says female Cenobite. So she's the one with like the headgear from hell. Like she went to the orthodontist in hell.
I thought she always looked like a catfish whenever I was like when I first watched it in like my 20s. I was
Yeah.
like, that bitch looks like a catfish. What the hell is that? But yeah. And we get to
It,
see the big Cenobite too.
a Butterball, the fat one.
No, the one that's like the giant one. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, the one who's like chasing Christy at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Looks like Alien, kind of
Yeah.
looks like, or something like that through the hallway, right? Um, so this movie was released on September 10th, 1987, and it had the production budget of $1 million.
How much did it make, Alex?
Yeah, glad you asked that, Josh. So on a budget of $1 million, Hellraiser made $14.6 million at the box
And
office.
that's a good thing, right, Alex? That's like a lot of money for a turnaround.
Well, for a turnaround, Josh, I mean, 14, 15 times its budget. I mean, that's a major success, man.
So it would be safe to say this movie was getting sequels.
You know what's funny that you say that though, because it's like, okay, the first movie made 14.6 million, and you're like, man, that's a huge success, right?
Yeah.
It's like, is it
I
though? Is it
know.
enough money to make 12 more films? I mean, is that enough to like warrant making 12 more? Because I haven't looked at the latest box office returns for the like latest installment, and I don't think it even has box office returns because wasn't it
No.
like a streaming
Yeah, Solo.
premiere
Yeah.
thing? Um, I don't know, man. But they sure as hell they milked this franchise. But at this point, when this movie came out, they hadn't. It was an original idea. It was fresh. It was new. It has received generally positive reviews, Josh. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 70% fresh rating. Um,
Until
it was
today.
followed. It was followed by 9 sequels and a franchise reboot.
Yeah.
Doug Bradley, Mr. Pinhead himself, lead Cenobite, reprised his role 7 times after this film. So he was actually in 8 Hellraiser movies. Um,
Yeah, and then we get in Revelations, we get like the dude who went to the Halloween store. What's it called? The
oh, I
costume store. Spirit Halloween. He went and got the
yeah.
pinhead costume. And
Oh yeah. It was like the guy like it was like when you see some of those Freddy Krueger masks on Amazon, and the
yes.
picture looks amazing, and then you actually pay for it. You're like, dude, that mask looks like it could be screen used in a film, and then you get it, and it's like, oh, it looks like a bubblegum chewed up dream child Freddy, and the mask was left on a sidewalk in Arkansas on a
Hey,
90-degree day.
it looked like Pinhead had like been depressed and put on a little weight, been eating some bonbons or something down in this dimension.
Pinhead had been eating too many Cinnabites.
Oh, ooh, from McDonald's.
Yeah,
It's a breakfast treat. Cinnabite.
yeah, yeah. If you guys hadn't seen it in the pre-show, Josh was talking about how a Cinnabite sounded like a breakfast item you'd get at McDonald's. Sorry, Josh. It's 11 a.m. You know yourself that we stopped serving breakfast at 11.
Yeah, I
You're gonna have
know.
to wait to get Cinnabites tomorrow.
Okay, fine. Can
Here's
I
your
at least buy the
McDonald's.
can I at least buy get a Happy Meal with the new toy, that little puzzle box thing that's coming with it?
Each yeah, Pinhead and the Cinnabites take over McDonald's, and each Happy Meal box comes with a limit configuration fucking box.
On
Uh,
wheels, so you can like roll it around
God, man. When I was a little kid and we go to McDonald's, I wanted the toy so bad. My parents would get pissed off because I wouldn't even eat my food. I would just go straight to the toy, which is so crazy because now as an adult, I still love toys, but the food is obviously the number one deal. But if I was like 5 or 6, I would have dug right into that fucking puzzle box and dragged my whole family to hell, Josh.
Can I tell you a sad story about toys at McDonald's other than
Yeah.
dragging your family to hell?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Pogs for Power Rangers and VR Troopers?
I the game that we like
Yeah, the
Pogs and
little
Slivers and everything.
Pogs. You could get them for like 99 cents, a little pouch, and at
Yes.
McDonald's.
Yes.
I was missing one pouch. I had all of them except for one pouch, and I was still a little kid, like 9 or 10, and I didn't understand that it was a limited thing. So when I went in, I kept when my mom finally took me again to try to get the last one, they didn't have them.
Yeah.
Little Josh cried. He didn't understand. So I never got that
That
last
like
pouch.
you missed the last day.
I never got those last three pogs. It's heartbreaking.
Can I talk to you about something also that little Josh did in the past that I
What's
remember
that?
that little Josh did? Um, I remember you telling me a story about like you had this My Pet Monster VHS and you were like convinced that they were going to make a sequel to
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but it was like a one-off deal for like buying the My Pet Monster.
Why'd they put a
Um,
cliffhanger? Why'd they
I
do that?
Dude, I've been watching a lot of Saturday morning cartoons on YouTube that like people like taped Saturday morning cartoon blocks in the 80s,
Yeah,
complete with bumpers and commercials, and they put them on YouTube.
that's
So
awesome.
I've been watching a lot of these, and the My Pet Monster cartoon, I remember it being so much better as a kid. I mean, it's really bad.
I like B store with the sunglasses and everything.
Yeah.
B store angry.
Uh and the My Pet Monster like loves Garbage Day. Do you remember that? Garbage Day.
He even
There's a
eats the can.
Yeah, that's a reference that only like 3 people are gonna get. So
Store
let's,
angry can't get Cenobites.
it's 10:59. B-Store pissed and hungry. Okay, so we're talking about how it was 70% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert of Siskel and Ebert fame kind of had something different, a different viewpoint on this film. Roger Ebert, on a scale of 4 stars, gave this film half a star. I was gonna include the quote, but it's really long and rambling. It's just basically him shitting on this movie and how it lacks any like actual merit or any true original idea that makes sense, or he really didn't like it. Um which is doesn't surprise me because Roger Ebert hated horror movies. So it was actually amazing that he enjoyed New Nightmare,
Yeah.
the previous episode we recorded on Slash Trax Reviews. He actually liked it, but I don't know. I think there's a lot to like about this movie. I think visually it's very good. I think for the budget that they had to make this film, I think they did a really good job, to be honest with you.
He's just mad because nobody would chain him up and do that shit to him, you know?
Yeah, dude. And they were out of Cenobites and his fat ass. I don't want to body shame anybody because I used to weigh 358 pounds. He's pissed off that he couldn't get his Cenobites. All right. And Gene Siskel, his partner in crime, was tall and skinny and handsome and just, rocked the horseshoe bald head thing.
What did he
And
give it?
Walker was pissed. It doesn't say. So I'm going to
Okay.
assume no stars.
Two thumbs down.
He hated horror movies worse than Ebert, to be honest with you. Um, so Barker ended up directing this movie, Josh. Here's a little pre-production stuff. He was upset with some of the movie adaptations of things he had written in the past. So like they'd buy his script or whatever, and they would make a movie of it and watch the finished product, and he'd just be kind of like, this isn't what I was hoping it would be. This isn't what I had envisioned. And I think probably a lot of authors, and this is why books are important to this day, because you can use your imagination. So whatever Clive Barker saw in his head when he's creating it, there's no that you're going to get that exact idea on screen. So
Yeah.
Barker, being the genius that he is, was like, you know what? I don't like the way these previous films have ended up. I'm going to actually try to direct one myself. So he got a hold of the guy who actually, Christopher Figg, who actually ended up producing this film. And he said, listen, for the movie company to take a chance on a first-time director, how much money, like how low of a number do I have to have them the production budget be for them to take a chance on me? And Christopher Figg is like, well, it's probably gonna have to be less than $1 million.
Oh
And
wow.
they greenlit it. They greenlit Barker $900,000. And the movie was going so well, and they liked the footage like halfway through. The company did that they actually greenlit a little bit more money. That's how it went over $1 million
Okay.
to improve some of the previous scenes. Like there's the scene where Frank is getting like ripped apart. I believe that was reshot when they got more money. I don't know what it looked like originally, but it's pretty brutal
You mean
slashaholics at the end
you mean
there.
you mean that actor had to get ripped apart twice?
Yeah, they killed him on scene. They actually
Jesus
murdered the guy who
Christ.
played Uncle Frank on screen. Yeah. They had they didn't even they kept the original part where he got ripped apart. The extra $100,000 in the production budget was to just make the police go away and not
Oh,
investigate. They
okay.
just paid him
Okay.
off. Yeah. Yeah, they covered it up. So here's something funny. Doug Bradley, who plays the lead Cenobite Pinhead, he actually had trouble hitting his marks on the filming, Josh, because
Okay.
his dark contacts, he couldn't see through them. So like they'd have a mark on the floor and they're like, Doug, hit this mark, say your line or whatever. That's what they do in all movies. He
Yeah.
couldn't see the fucking mark. And he's wearing this long skirt, this long average Joe's dodgeball team skirt. And he was almost tripping over it. Like every time they tried to do it because he couldn't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing that he was able to shoot some of that stuff. Um, so here's another little thing. Barker had to make some cuts on the film, obviously. So the
You
movie,
don't say.
yeah, the movie that we end up seeing, the finished product, as gory as it is, Slashaholics. He brought it to the MPAA and he's like, "Hey, here's my product. Here's my finished film." Um, I'm hoping for like a PG-13 rating here, whatever. I don't even know. They gave him an X rating. Okay, so they gave him a fucking X rating,
Oh
like a
my God.
porno.
The 80s, man. So nitpicky.
They gave him like a porno rating, dude. The only person that would have been able to see this movie when it premiered is Paul Rubens. He was, and it's some Cinemates. What's the
George
word of the day?
Michaels.
Oh my God, what's the word of the day, Pinhead? Um, so yeah, anyway, they had to make some cuts. One of the scenes that they actually cut, which is still really brutal on screen now, is the scene where Julia is like killing for Uncle Frank to
Oh,
shed more blood, upstairs in that shitty ass room. She puts a hammer into the back of somebody's head, right? But in the scene, you can see it, but it cuts away on the movie that the way it is now. But in the scene they cut back, Josh, you could actually see the hammer stuck in his head. Um,
It's not a real head, folks. Why are you cutting the movie? I don't get
I
it.
know. Well, and there was also, hey, listen to this. There was another scene like where Uncle Frank is sleeping with Julia. You could have two thrusts. So you could have two thrusts from Uncle Frank, right? Two pumps, and it's fine. Three pumps is indecent. Cannot have three pumps. You can only have two pumps.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And then there was another scene where, and don't quote me on this, Slash Holics. I think Uncle Frank tries to go in the back door on Julia. Okay.
Don't
But
quote
in
us on our research review.
yeah, yeah. He tried Uncle Frank, being the wonderful, caring lover that he is, tries to go in Julia's back door. I think without approval. So that's sodomy. And then they film that. And then the MPAA is like, I don't think so. So they're like, how about instead of Uncle Frank committing sodomy, he pull out a switchblade and like cut her clothes off or something or like whatever. So they so instead of, some butt loving, they switch to knife play. So that's better, I guess.
Knife
That
play negates ass play. So
Yeah, I don't know, man. Different strokes for different folks. I'm sure there's people that like to break out a switchblade during their
they're
raucous
afraid that
lovemaking.
they're afraid she was going to generate too much power.
Yeah, yeah. What the hell? Um, okay. So
You opened your
Josh,
blouse and I came.
she, with the amount of sex that they have in this film, it seemed like Uncle Frank needed to spill more than blood. Than you know what I mean? He was spilling semen all over the top of like, what bothered me more than the way Frank treated this house? When Julia first moves into that house and the dad Larry's like, "Hey, what do you think about this house?" And she's like, "Oh, it's fine." And then she puts her cigarette out on the ground of the house. That bugs the shit out of me, Josh. I don't know
I
why
can't
that bothers me so much.
I can't stand smokers, man. It's just
Yeah, I know. No, but in the house, man.
yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah.
Fuck. Um. Okay, so Josh, it's that time, man. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about the plot, and we're gonna be very brief on this because we've
Yeah,
got a lot of
yeah,
stuff to kind of get into.
yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna get into the plot. Here's the
That's
plot. I'm gonna give
Alex's
it.
way of telling me to shut up and don't add any.
No, it is not. But I think what happened, the reason I want to keep the plot down a little bit less than we normally do, because the new Nightmare Slashaholics, I felt like Josh and we both talked about it. Like we discussed the plot for almost an hour.
Yeah, this is too much.
Like we're gonna do a brief rundown of the plot, and then we're gonna get into some stuff we liked and stuff we didn't like.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So here's the plot. Uncle Frank, the movie starts. Uncle Frank is meeting a person, like in a farmer's market or something in some sort of foreign country. He's basically wants to buy the puzzle box. Um,
What's
so
your
this
pleasure,
guy,
stranger?
exactly. So he meets this guy, hands him a wad of cash. He gets the box. He goes back to the house, right, where he ends up dying and being taken back to hell, in the upper basement, room. And he opens the box. The Cenobites show up, rip his fucking body in half. Slashaholics. Go ahead.
What's in the upper basement?
Upper attic. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I was trying to follow along.
I don't know. Okay, so he's up in the upper basement. He's in the attic. Okay, getting his body ripped apart. He's getting dragged to hell by his nipples, which sucks because it was like 10:30 and he had just enough time to get down to McDonald's for some Cenobites before he went to hell.
The Pinhead's like, I'm taking you to hell, but nice job on this upper basement.
I love what you've done with the place. Cigarette butts all over the place, semen, freaking ass play, switchblade play, boxes of empty Cenobites all over the floor.
And I love how you're like, fuck addicts. I got another basement.
Hey, check this out. So
Upper basements.
Pinhead, listen. Pinhead was actually doing the world's first DoorDash for Uncle Frank. He was bringing the Cenobites to him.
He did. He did.
I fucking ordered a large order of Cenobites from McDonald's, not from hell. So anyway, he gets dragged to hell. They cut to his brother Larry showing up to the house like 6 months later or whatever. And he's actually going to move into the house with his bride, Julia. and they're going to start over. It seems like there's some undertones of like marital trouble, like they're having issues. And this move may actually they're attempting to like fix their marriage, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they live there. His daughter Christy calls him on the phone. I guess she moved where they moved to be closer to her dad. Uh, she comes over. They have a house party or whatever, and they're having like a housewarming party or whatever. Julia says she's sick. She goes upstairs, and lo and behold, guess who's upstairs? Uncle Frank's fucking rotted dead corpse is rejuvenated because earlier in the day, when the movers were there, they were moving a mattress, and these fucking movers, Josh, who were doing anything they could possibly do except help move, because they were asking Larry for beer. They're like, "Hey, you got any beer?" And then they're like hitting on Julia. They're talking about how hot Christy is. So they're like the worst fucking moving company ever. 1 star. Okay, Roger Ebert would give this moving company half a star. I'm giving them 1 star. Larry cuts his hand on a nail, Josh, and bleeds all over the fucking place. And the blood actually goes goes through to the upper basement.
Yep.
And bleeds on the mattress, right where
Yeah.
Frank died, and resurrects Frank's body. Okay, so that's a lot to wrap your mind around. But
dare we call it a seep number bed? A seep number bed? Because it seeps blood. I'm sorry.
Dude, I've slept on some nasty mattresses because I was really broke back in the day, but I've never been on a mattress that's covered in fucking blood, Cinnabite frosting, semen, fucking my brother's dead body.
In a nasty, moldy upper basement.
Julia's freaking nasty schnazzle all over this mattress. Just cigarette butts.
Larry's saying, I need you to go get this mattress out of the basement. And they start going downstairs. No! The upper basement.
The upper basement, you bitch.
Okay, I'm done. I won't say it no more. Go ahead.
Hey, so can we go to? So I have it written down on the rundown. Can we go to the clip, Josh, of where he cuts his hand on the nail? Because I've always thought that scene is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
It's a quick clip. Just how brutal is this, Slashaholics?
Man, that nail thing was brutal.
Yeah, dude. In a movie, Josh, where people are getting their fucking heads bashed in, people are not having their Cinnabites delivered on time. People are getting their skin ripped apart. That is the most brutal scene in this film, and I hate it because it's not a clean cut, dude. It's the head of the nail, dude. I hate it. It's disgusting. So the blood from the head of the nail, Larry gets his hand shredded on this fucking thing, causes Uncle Frank's decrepit old evil ass to rise from hell on this mattress of lust and Cinnabites. He shows up. And anyway, Julia shows up. Julia leaves the housewarming party. She goes up to the room, sees Frank. And this is where it is like kind of revealed, even though we saw earlier that she had an illicit affair with Uncle Frank, that she's like still very much into him, even if he doesn't have a fucking body.
Yeah.
So Frank basically says, Julia, this is what I need you to do. You clearly want me back because you love having sex with me, and I want my body back. So you're going to have to kill for me. So we're going to have to shed more blood to bring me fully back. Now, Josh, I got one question.
Mm-hmm.
Larry's not dead, okay? So the blood that brought him back originally is not from a dead body. And Larry doesn't die, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they immediately go to, we have to kill people to get their blood? Why can't they go to a blood bank or like have someone bleed on the bed? Well, why do they have to kill people?
Because the more blood they get, the more he absorbs, the more he can fully come back. If they just did a little bit of blood, he would just get like a little bit back at a time. And it honestly feels like this whole movie kind of feels like a Tales from the Crypt episode at times, especially with the killing people to bring them back,
That you literally described that perfectly for me. That is beautiful. It's like a long Tales from the Crypt episode.
Yeah, that's what this feels like. This part, the whole feeding people to the bed. Is it in hell when this is happening? Is Pinhead like, God damn it, Chatterer! I told you to keep an eye on the bed portal. Another one
No,
got through the bed portal up into somebody's upper basement, and now we got to go after him.
no, dude, because he wasn't. Remember, Christy at the end is trying to swap Uncle Frank for her, and that
Mm.
he's like, she's like, "Hey, I know where Uncle Frank is. He got away." And they're like, "What do you mean he got away?" Like the Chatterer or Butterball or the female Cenobite wasn't like when they were auditing Hell and they were going over their par sheet. Frank. They didn't even know Frank was missing. They were like fucking Kevin McAllister's parents at the airport. They didn't even know Uncle Frank was gone, dude.
Uncle Frank.
No, hey, Pinhead in the chatter. Pinhead in the Chatterer. Frank!
And faint.
How weird is it that there's an Uncle Frank in Home Alone and there's an Uncle Frank in Hellraiser and they're both assholes?
Wait, but this one Uncle Frank calls other people a little pervert, and the other Uncle Frank is a little pervert.
Yeah. Which one? Hey, Slashaholics, which one is more evil? Leave it in the comments below. Uncle Frank from Home Alone or Uncle Frank from Hellraiser? Why is it Uncle Frank from Home Alone? Why did you answer that way?
Yeah, right.
Is it because he tried to put the silver on the fucking airplane flight into his wife's purse? Or is it because he said he only had traveler's checks and he couldn't help pay for the pizza?
And what the hell does Kevin's dad do to be able to take a whole other family to France and stuff? That's just crazy.
Well, this has been discussed on other podcasts, but Josh, he was in an episode of Miami Vice where he was a drug guy, like a drug kingpin. Some of that bled over into the Home Alone money, okay. I think. Yeah.
Hello, kiddies. Tonight's terrible tale will be about a man back from hell who needs other people's blood to come back alive. So, boils and ghouls, here is tonight's tale, Hellraiser.
No, the basement attic from hell. The upstairs basement from hell. Hey, that's why it's called Hellraiser, because the basement, it was rose to the attic level.
Upper.
Yeah.
All right.
Raise the roof, bitch. So Julia goes about the business of trying to bring Frank back so Frank can have sex with her again.
That's it.
That's the plot of the film, basically. So she's inviting men from the bar back to the house, and she's bashing them in the head with hammers. And Frank is like feeding on these bodies. I don't know, like he's like, I don't even know, dude, what's going on here. I'm sorry, is
there a deleted scene, like a montage of her like checking every time she feeds him somebody? He's like, sorry, the dick's not back yet. You got to get me another one.
Oh man, can you imagine having a penis with no skin on it? Like back in the day, I remember having like when you hadn't you hadn't even really been to second base yet, so you dry hump, right? And I remember having some serious burns in my area down there from dry humping, right? Your junk going against the zipper with friction burns, right? Can you imagine doing that without skin, Josh?
Oh no! Somewhere in our audience, middle-aged Inside Out boy is watching, and he's like, "I don't have to imagine."
Yeah, I did it. I
remember Inside Out boy.
Oh yeah, he was on Nickelodeon, right?
Yeah.
Inside
Out in the documentary.
He was on a swing set, and he like went over the top of the swing set, right?
Well, there's like this new documentary called Quiet on the Set or something where it's like about all the bad stuff that went on at Nickelodeon.
I watched it. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that was bad, but did they get turned inside out?
Yeah, well, Dan Schneider is to blame for Inside Out Boy and Stick Stickley losing his job and Mark Weiner losing his job on Weinerville. And just anything bad that happened at Nickelodeon is Dan Schneider.
No, but seriously, there's some fucked up shit that happened, and that documentary was
horrible.
Out there, for getting it out there though, for horrible. For letting people know what went on. So
yeah, no, just side note, I did watch that documentary and I feel for those kids.
I do too.
They were like put in terrible situations.
Yes.
Impossible. Some of those kids were the breadwinners for their families, man.
Enough about Inside Out Boy. What's next on the plot?
Okay, so Julia's, killing all these people. She's bringing Frank back. Eventually, Christy catches onto it, and she actually runs into Uncle Frank upstairs. And she realizes that Uncle Frank somehow is not the way she remembers him, obviously because his body's like terribly
Yeah.
disfigured and not
Oh,
put
yeah.
together. And she like I think I can't remember if does Uncle Frank try to kill her in this confrontation because she flees and steals the puzzle box.
I think he's more interested in just being really pervy and creepy to his niece than killing her. But I think the situation he was in, if given the chance, he would have killed her just to get more blood and stuff to be back to the world of the living. So
Yeah, because he like comments on how pretty he thinks she is, and she grew up and all this crap, and says "come to daddy" or whatever the hell he says,
yeah,
um, which is a dead giveaway at the end. Slashaholics, spoiler alert, when he's using uh, Larry's skin
yeah,
to disguise himself, he says "come to daddy," and then she's like, "Oh shit, it's Uncle Frank."
yeah,
Um, but anyway, so she flees. She steals the puzzle box and she ends up like in some sort of like hospital setting or like asylum.
yeah.
And they leave her in the room with the puzzle box, the orderlies do and the doctors, because she's like refusing to talk or like say why she was gripping this puzzle box so tightly. So they like, being a pretty reputable hospital and like caring about why she wants this puzzle box so much, they leave her in the room with the puzzle box. So, that makes sense. They don't know it's like a puzzle box to hell, but don't you think they'd like at least put it with her personal belongings and her clothes
Yeah, at least store it in the upper basement of the hospital, with all the other things.
or just something? So, anyway, she's like, she's stuck in hell, or she's not stuck in hell, she's stuck in the hospital.
With no
She,
insurance, it's hell.
yeah, she has no insurance because she's working at a fucking pet store where people are coming in and eating crickets right in front of her. That's a whole nother story. So she's in the hospital and she decides, I'm going to try to solve this puzzle box. Well, guess what? She does solve it
Like
because it's
caressing it.
yeah, there's no it's not like a Rubik's Cube slashaholics. All she's doing is like running her fingers over the outside of this thing. The box opens, she ends up in hell, okay? And we all know what happens once the Cenobites show up, they don't negotiate with you. Uh she gets chased by a big fat Cenobite down a hallway and she breaks the fourth wall basically and ends up back in the hospital room again.
Can we talk about how cool that scene is, though, with the
Oh,
hospital walls rip apart and stuff, and she's like going from dimension to dimension. But yeah, she's running from them, and she does try to make a deal with them. But I think that's where you were heading with it.
yeah, she tries to negotiate. She's like, hey, Cenobites, you guys are idiots because my Uncle Frank actually escaped. And Pinhead's like, what are you talking about? Nobody escaped from hell. And he like looks because he's in true management, fashion, just like on Earth, slashaholics, it works this way in hell. Everything trickles down. So
Yep.
she looks at the fat butterball. He looks at the fat butterball one. The fat butterball looks at the chatterer. The chatterer looks at the lady, and they're all like, well, how did you let Frank escape? You fuck up. Like this is not on me,
Before
right?
this conversation, the chatterer was just the normal guy, but he's chattering. He's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna get fired."
Yeah, at least a write up, or at least a couple fucking chains through his nipples or something. Something bad's gonna happen. So anyway, that Doug Bradley, the lead, Pinhead's like, we may do a deal, if you give us Frank. So she goes back to the house, like she gets out of the hospital. I don't know if like the Cenobites broke her out of the hospital or hell led directly to the house, or if the house is like directly connected to hell. I don't know how she got there. She Muppet map travels back to her dad's house, okay, from hell.
Yeah.
And Julia answers the door and she's like, hey, your dad's like asleep or he's gone or I don't know what she says. And Kirsty's like, I need to talk to my dad like right now. You bitch. You like
Oh,
let me
he
in there.
he died during all this, right? Like Frank.
Yeah, they kill him
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Uncle Frank is wearing his skin.
yeah. He's still like tightening it up and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's like checking his eyeballs and stuff. But so her dad's dead, unbeknownst to Christy, or Kirsty. And Julia's like trying to like not let her in because she wants Frank to like, have more sex. Because
He
she actually
finally got
had
the dick.
she finally got the dick, which coincidentally was her husband's dick. It was Frank wearing her husband's dick skin,
So she's
right?
not cheating, right?
You know what? That's you're right. You're right. So here's a little sidetrack thing. So when Frank is wearing Larry's skin in the last scene of the movie, why does he have Larry's voice? Why didn't they dub over Frank's voice?
Right? That's a good question. Yeah.
They must not have had enough money in the budget.
Well, he started back coming back as just blood and then muscle and sinew. So maybe he got his larynx and stuff too.
Well, so Julia lets Christy in to see her dad, and she sees her dad, and it turns out to be Frank wearing her dad's skin, like the fucking guy from the Silence, like the guy from the Silence of the Lambs. Um, and she realizes it's not her dad because he says something like "come to daddy" or something.
Yeah.
And she actually, so he's like, but before that, they go up to the attic, the upper basement, to see the dead body of Frank because Julia and Larry, who's not Larry, it's Frank, are saying Frank's dead. We had to kill him. Okay. They go upstairs to see Frank's body, but it's actually her dad's body.
Yep.
She's tipped off after he says, "Come to daddy." And then had Frank killed Julia yet? Does he kill her right after this?
Yeah, right after all that, before the Cinnabon stuff goes in, she ends up on the bed or whatever, right?
Yeah. So Julia's like ready to bang again. We gotta kill Kirsty so we can bang again. And Frank kind of pulls the reverse Uno card on her and murders her. Instead of murdering her vagina for the third time that day, he actually just murders her. So of course, Julia's dead.
Cenobites in her upper basement.
In the upper basement, Cenobites show up.
Her upper basement.
Cenobites show up, and they want Frank back. And they have to have proof before they take Frank to hell that it is Frank, because apparently in hell they don't have DNA testing kits, or like, smartphones don't exist, I guess, in hell yet. There's nothing concrete, voice recognition, any of that kind of stuff. So they have to catch him in the act, admitting he's Frank. So the Cenobites catch him saying he's Frank.
Yeah. Now, in his defense, all he said was, "Listen, Kirsty, let me be frank with you." And they're like, "It's him."
Yeah, they're just like waiting to like torture somebody. So anyway, the Cenobites show up. They right before Frank can kill Kirsty for turning him in to the Cenobites, he's gonna bring that knife, down on Kirsty. The Cenobites latch Frank up with the chain with the hooks, which by the way makes no fucking sense that this would hurt him because he's wearing dead skin. It's not his skin. Why does that hurt him?
The thing is, it's not his skin, but all of his nerve endings and stuff have reconnected. That's killing all the people was like rebuilding a body for him. So,
yes.
So he does feel that. The skin has become his skin.
His brother's skin
has become his skin? Yep. The nerve endings and everything.
Okay, so the hooks get him. They tear him apart, as he
says.
Jesus wept, which doesn't make sense, really.
It's the shortest verse in the Bible. It's the shortest verse. That's all I know about why he did that. I don't understand either, but it's memorable. It's memorable.
So Clive Barker gets a little blasphemy in his film before the movie, ends. And we think as moviegoers that since Christy brought Frank to the Cenobites are going to be like, deal's a deal, thanks. No, they're like, no, we're bringing you to hell too. We said we might not bring you to hell, but we're bringing you to hell.
We're demons, bitch.
Yeah, we're bringing you to hell. So Christy's like, well, shit, I just got backstabbed by, the demons. And
the third time this week.
Yeah, her boyfriend shows up, who's been in the movie a total of like fucking 17 seconds.
They needed another death.
Yeah, he doesn't get killed though. He doesn't get killed.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
But he's very not memorable. He looks like a singer from the Depeche Mode, like in 1987. He looks like one of the guys in Depeche Mode. He shows up, helps Christy escape because Christy like closes the puzzle box, right? Mm-hmm. On him.
And they disappear one at a time.
Yeah, so technically she still owes them a debt though. I mean, right? According to their logic. I kind of feel bad for Christy though, because this is kind of a bait this is a trap situation, Josh, because these
Yeah.
Cenobites did not make this puzzle hard to open. Apparently, the only difficult thing in opening this is that you have to have human fingers and you
Yeah.
have to have the ability to touch something
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
solve this. So yeah, we don't have a lot of Mensa candidates solving the lament configuration. You're not a lot of high IQ people solving this fucking puzzle box. So they want anybody. They want to bring someone to hell. Okay.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
So anyway, the movie ends. He says Jesus wept. Frank's torn apart. She escapes hell with her Depeche Mode boyfriend. And then Josh, go ahead and tell the Slashaholics what happens at the end.
The devil. You get the man, the what's your pleasure, stranger? He turns into like this goat demon with wings, which I've always taken the lore of Lucifer. A lot of people think that. Takes the puzzle box, flies off because she throws it in the fire,
Yeah,
throws it into
burning.
the fire, and he comes and turns into that thing. And I think that's one of the coolest scenes in the movie. And it's very creepy, like the whole practical effect thing of it. It's very dated now. It doesn't really hold up great, but it reminds me of like Beetlejuice
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And I love that. Like the Beetlejuice sequel is going to be all practical like that. So it's going to be cool to see that in 2024. But yeah, that's that whole thing. The drifter guy that could be or might not be the devil. I dig that character. I wish there was more. I wish there was like a fan film or a prequel or something that told that story. But yeah,
Well, that you just answered one of my questions I had written down on my piece of paper. It's like when Frank goes to get the box at the beginning of the movie, I always kind of question like, well, if this guy who he's buying the box from knows what's in the box, because he obviously knows what the box is, how
yeah,
come he's not in hell, right? Because he must have opened it, right? To know what it is.
yeah. That's why I think it's
So
the devil.
yeah, it's like it's clearly the devil. It's like a needful things thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
yeah, like he knows what he's selling, Frank. So he's basically like selling like the most depraved people in the world. He's like trying to sell this box to because he's trying to bring them to hell. It's like a trap, a kink trap. In a way, Satan is kink shaming all these guys. He's
yeah.
like, "Oh, you like this crazy shit? Like you like sleeping with your brother's wife? Well, guess what? I'm gonna put a fucking harpoon right through your cock, Frank. And drag your ass to hell, right before 11 a.m.
Wait,
Right
wait,
after
Alex.
11.
Before I sell this to you, I need to ask you two questions.
Yeah,
Are you in love with your brother's wife? In
doesn't have a
lust with
wife.
it?
No,
No, are you in lust with it? With her? Oh, okay. Do you have
no,
an upper basement?
of course.
Okay, I'll sell it to you.
What's your pleasure, stranger? Um, and then the other thing I was gonna say. So when he's in the pet store, when the devil's in the pet store and he's eating crickets, so that's what the devil eats? Crickets,
Crickets.
grasshoppers.
I guess so.
He must be healthy. Like that's super duper protein.
Oh,
Being the
that's a
devil
lot.
must be hard work.
Being the devil's hard work.
Yeah, you got to have a super strict high protein diet, like not a lot of fats. Let's get into the last part of this episode, Josh. Does the movie hold up today?
In a sense, it does. But I'm into like the cheesy practical effects. But I think a horror aficionado, like a new person, like somebody who's like young but like really into horror movies, would
Mhm.
appreciate it. But I don't think that just some random person sitting down watching it's gonna really be entertained.
Mm-mm.
Like people that watched it back in the day. So
I
no, I guess it doesn't really hold up for the majority.
I was gonna say almost the exact same thing. It's like I enjoy it because I love the genre, and it's a little different. It's not like just typical slasher film.
Yeah,
It's definitely different. It's got a yeah. You have to think when you're watching. It's like almost like more psychological than it is like straight up slasher. Like
yeah,
the kills are incidental. They happen because the character is so depraved.
yeah,
It's not like he's got bloodlust. He's depraved for a whole different scenario, and it's pretty rare when the main protagonist of the film, Pinhead, is not even the main villain. Like Uncle Frank is the villain of this film,
yeah.
so that's really interesting.
Antagonist, but I know what you
Yeah,
meant. Yeah,
excuse me, antagonist. It's interesting. Uh, what else was I going to say? When I've had family members or friends be in the same room when I turn this movie on, they can't get through like more than 15 minutes of this movie because it's pretty slow to
it
start.
is. It's like Friday the 13th Part 1. It's once you've seen it once, it's hard to watch it again.
Yeah, it's pretty slow. I can see why people really enjoy it though, and I can see why people don't enjoy it. Do I think it holds up? Maybe. Yes and no. Yeah.
For certain
Same
people,
answer you give.
yeah,
Yes. It's niche. It's very niche.
it holds up about as well as an episode of Tales from the Crypt holds up. You know, if you were a
Yeah.
fan of it, it holds up. If you're not, you're probably not going to like it. So,
And it only gets worse. Movie number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Josh, did this movie did this movie add to the Hellraiser franchise or did it take away?
it added. I mean, it set up all the lore, so that's kind of an easy answer.
Dude, I couldn't this is going to be the shortest part of the review. I said created the franchise,
Yep.
created the universe of Hellraiser. So yeah, it obviously added to it created it. It's the OG of the franchise. Did it take away from the franchise?
No, no. Actually, in a sense, it did because it showed a couple things that we don't ever see again, like that big Cenobite, that's coming through, and
Yeah,
the
it looks like an alien.
yeah, and the devil guy turning into that creature. We never get like get that revisited. So in a way,
Yeah.
it does kind of take away because it gave us some shit that we never really got a follow up on. So
I don't like that I really like Hellraiser 2 and 3. Since Doug Bradley was so popular, because he wasn't even supposed to be like the main star of these films. He was just supposed to be like a part of the film, if that makes any sense. He was so popular, he Urkeled the franchise though. He became the main star, and they started building a backstory for him. Like he was a normal guy for do you remember
World
that? They
War
have this,
One. He was in World
yeah.
War One. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go into his backstory and stuff, and like Pinhead 3, he's like on that beam, like he's frozen on that beam. He's like a collector's item.
Yeah, it
Uh,
separates him, and I think in part two they separate the man that became Pinhead
mhm.
from the Cenobite Pinhead. So you have a
Yeah.
Cenobite Pinhead in part three that's like nothing but pain and suffering, kill, 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 and the human side has been removed, and he actually like fights himself at
Okay.
one point, which is I'm looking forward to reviewing like two, three, and four because I actually enjoyed
Mhm.
all of them.
Yeah, I like the one thing I was gonna say though is I like the original film because the Cenobites, like, they don't go too deep into their backstory, so I feel like it makes them creepier. Um, I kind of like it when they're not explained as much, so there's more left to the imagination. Like when Freddy, like when they tried to start justifying why he was the way he was, like, oh, he was, kids didn't like him in his class, and he lived with this, Alice Cooper who beat him daily, and just all this stuff. It's like I don't need to know his motivation. I liked it better when he was just a fucking animal killer, and I could use my own imagination. I don't know if you're like that at all.
Well, I kind of have to use the canon in my latest story, but yeah, I thought he was scarier in the beginning.
I
Uh,
um I actually, hey, sidetrack again for the eighth time. Josh, sit down with me in the upstairs basement. I listened to the prologue of Freddy Goes to Space, and it's pretty good.
thank you.
Uh, yeah, I like it. So check it out, Slash Alex, on the YouTube, Slash Alex, Slash Trax Network. Obviously, if you know where you're watching this right now, it's on this exact channel, so check it out. Um, but yeah, no, did it take away? No, obviously. Josh, one more real quick thing before we rate the film, and we skip this. What was your favorite kill, and what was your least favorite kill of the film?
Least favorite kill was pretty much everything except for Frank being killed at the end. Like him getting
Yeah,
ripped apart was just iconic for the movie. And
yeah, it was good.
yeah, I don't really have a least favorite. Like everything was pretty cool. Even the hammer
Um,
kill was pretty cool. Like there was nothing really weak.
I would say of all the kills in the film, my least favorite kill, and I think it's because it bothers me, when Julia brings one of the businessmen up to the upstairs basement, and she's like, he thinks they're gonna have sex or whatever, and then he's like trying to hide behind her because he thinks they discovered a monster together, which is
Yeah,
Frank.
yeah, okay, yeah, yeah.
That I guess that's my least favorite because it bothers me because psychologically it's like, man, that's kind of fucked up because he doesn't realize she's a Black Widow and he's in her web, you know? It's kind of
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
I'll go with that one. I'll agree with you there. I mean,
yeah.
the Frank's is so awesome though. Like it just puts every other kill to shame. What was that your favorite?
Yeah, oh yeah, Frank for sure. And I think before we end the episode, you should hit him with the clip of Frank saying Jesus wept and being ripped apart real quick.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Jesus wept.
And before we rate the film, if you're a Ghostbusters fan and a Hellraisers fan, go to YouTube right now and search for Extreme Ghostbusters Deadliners episode. All one word, Deadliners. Deadliners. It is an episode of Hellraiser where there are Cenobites. I'm not even kidding you. They want people's skin. They take the skin from people in this episode. It is one of the craziest, darkest episodes of Ghostbusters, the cartoons ever. And what it is there's a character like Clive Barker, an author, who's one of his like his pen or something gets possessed, and everything he writes or his typewriter, it becomes reality. And he's writing a Hellraiser story, and his Cenobites, which are called something else, I can't remember, Deadliners or whatever, become real, because of this cursed typewriter. And they're out in New York, like skinning people, taking their skin. Like it don't show it. Like the doors will shut, and you'll hear somebody screaming or whatever.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
To our specimen, a suit of skin.
To us, sculpting clay.
A blank canvas promising infinite aesthetic possibility.
Huh? I ain't no canvas. Let me out of here. Let me out of here. Don't touch me. No, no.
Brethren, let the procedure begin. New flesh, be with us.
Be one of us. Bid your humanity farewell.
Embrace us.
Embrace the Vathic. Go on, take me. When my friends find you, they'll make you pay.
They cannot destroy us.
If it is not written,
it cannot be done.
So since you're talking about Ghostbusters, I want to say one other thing. Like in my research today, I was doing Hellraiser research, and then I came across a Ghostbusters thing. There was an episode of the real Ghostbusters, and it's not Hellraiser related, but it's kind of interesting. Did you know there was an episode where they accidentally caught one of Scrooge's ghosts that were supposed to come and visit him, and they fucked up Christmas?
Yep. That was their Christmas special one year. It was great. I got the whole DVD set, so
I gotta watch that episode. That's great. That is great. Great writing. I would like to watch that episode.
Since you brought up Real Ghostbusters, there's an episode that I saw as a kid that I think might be a Mandela effect. I remember it plain as day. In the episode, it starts raining peanut brittle. Okay. Raining peanut brittle. I have got the entire DVD set. Cannot find that episode. Google Real Ghostbusters peanut brittle rain. Nothing. If anybody out there knows what the hell I saw, and if it's a real thing or if it's a Mandela or something, let me know, because that's driving me crazy.
If you guys know what Josh saw, let Josh know what he saw.
If you've ever seen that, if you remember seeing that peanut brittle falling from the sky in an episode because of a ghost or something, paranormal event, please.
Speaking of the Mandela effect, there's an episode of the Real Ghostbusters where they actually they bust either the Bernstein Bears or the Berenstein Bears. And they also bust the movie where Sinbad plays a genie.
Okay, if I get you the DVDs of the real Ghostbusters, we should do like season reviews.
I love the real
I would
Ghostbusters.
love to do season reviews of that and
So
the
would I, dude.
extras.
Hey, before I know we said we're gonna grade this movie like 8 times,
Oh
but I'm
yeah,
just gonna,
Hellraiser. Shit, my bad.
yeah. One more thing about the real Ghostbusters. Favorite episode of Real Ghostbusters, and this will be my last thing. And we're talking about Ghostbusters because we're psyched about the new Ghostbusters movie.
I
But
loved it.
my favorite episode is where the monster in the closet, the actual boogeyman. I love that
Boogeyman,
episode.
yes.
Love it. Love it.
Mine would be when Halloween was forever because I think Sam Hain was one of the scariest ghosts on that cartoon when I was a kid, the Pumpkinhead guy.
Yeah.
Like I would
Yeah.
love to see him in live action, like in the next Ghostbuster movie.
Well, that'd be great.
That would be amazing. But yeah.
Yeah. They did and they actually, that episode was so popular that they went back to that character multiple times.
He was supposed to be on Extreme Ghostbusters, but they didn't get to do it. But yeah.
All right, Josh, it's that time, man. Out of four puzzle boxes, 4 being the highest, 1 being the worst, what do you rate the 1987 beloved, much beloved, horror classic Hellraiser?
This is one of those movies I watch and then I put it back up in my upper basement for a while. I'm going to give it 2 out of 4.
Okay.
It sets up some cool stuff that follows, but it's a real slow burn. And like I said before, it is most of the movie, besides the Cenobites, is like a extended episode of Tales from the Crypt. I can just see a Tales from the Crypt story where a woman's trying to get her dead lover back by killing people and feeding a bed blood that slowly brings her lover back. But at the end of the story, something goes wrong, or demons show up and take him back to hell and take her too. So it does feel like a Tales from the Crypt episode. It's a slow burn. When the Cenobites show up, it's fun, but it's just a little too late. A little too little. A little too little too late, if that makes sense. And please do not, like, if you've never seen Hellraiser, don't take what we're saying and be like, oh, I'm staying away from it. Form your own opinion. Please do not listen to critics. Do not let a critic score tell you what to like. For instance, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Critics are panning it, but it's an amazing movie. Got a high audience score. Same with Afterlife. Do not listen to critics. Make your own judgments. Nobody can tell you what you're going to like except you.
Exactly.
Exactly. 2 out of 4 for me. Hellraiser 2 and 3 are probably going to get a higher score than that. But I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It is memorable. It's not forgettable. I don't have to watch it a lot. It really stood out to me that I remember it vividly. And it had an impression on me as far as being a fan of horror. I mean, that's fucking awesome. Pinhead is awesome. So 2 out of 4. What do you got?
I give it 2.5 out of 4. Well, I was gonna 2.5 out of 4.
You're going first next time.
No problem. 2.5 out of 4. Very memorable premise. Slow burn. Not enough Cenobites. It reminds me of the 2017, 2018 Power Ranger movie. Like they don't get their suits and their powers basically till like the last 20 minutes of the film. It's too little too late. I needed a little bit more hot, on-screen, steamy Cenobite action. Didn't have enough. Too much Julia. Too much Julia bashing people's head in with hammers and bringing fucking weirdos home from the airport bar. Too much Uncle Frank. For my liking. 2.5 out of 4. Really nice build up for the films that follow, like 2, 3, and maybe even 4 and 5. Doug Bradley becomes a star in this film. Clive Barker, built his career directing movies on the back of Hellraiser. So a lot of really good things happen from this film. And would I rewatch it? Yeah, I've rewatched it like 20 times already. And I what Josh said, if we give a movie a score lower than you think we should, it doesn't mean we don't like it.
Yeah.
It just means, we don't like it as much as the other films we've watched. Check it out for yourself if you haven't seen it. If you're a younger slashaholic, check it out. It's free on Tubi. It's free on Pluto. I think well, most of the Hellraiser movies are free on Tubi right now. Hellraiser 2, which we'll review in the future, really good flick. Has a ripoff of Dream Warriors. The main girl, what's her name? Kristen
Yeah,
Parker looks
Kirsten.
exactly like Kristen
Yeah.
Parker from Dream Warriors.
And you can also see Hellraiser 9 for free on YouTube on an episode of Slash Trax where Alex and I riff Hellraiser Revelations. The full movie is included. You don't have to click a Google Drive link. It's here on the channel. You know what? I'll put a link at the end of the episode on the screen, a thumbnail, so you can go straight to that if you want to see us riff one of the worst Hellraiser movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out. Don't just because we give it a low score, like he said, doesn't mean you're going to be hard pressed to find a movie that we review that we hate.
No, we wouldn't be reviewing it on our show if we hated it that bad, because we don't have there's not enough time in the day to dedicate 2 to 3 hours to something we just fucking hate.
Yeah.
We like all these movies. It's like pizza. Like, we love pizza. We just like some pizza more than other pizza.
Yeah.
It's like whatever. Josh, in the show, buddy.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us for our review of Tales from the Crypt. Hellraiser. We really appreciate you hanging with us in our upstairs basement or upper basement. Upstairs basement, upper basement. Yeah, we're getting too old for this shit, though. If you'd like to help the channel, please consider joining the Patreon. The links have been on the screen throughout the episode. You can join the Patreon. You can actually order a cameo video from us where we, can be dancing clowns or whatever you want. And it's $10 a video. It helps the channel. You can donate to our PayPal email or our Cash App. All the information has been on the screen and in the description and pinned comment below. You can email us at slashtrax2020@gmail.com. Send us movies you might want us to review. You might send us something like, hell yeah, let's review that next episode. You can also send in questions, recommendations, anything. We love to hear from you. Sponsors, if you want us to put your product on the show, you can contact us there. It's on the screen. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Be excellent to each other. And remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it. Say goodnight, Alex.
Good night, Alex. Mahalo, dogs. Mahalo, Pinhead. Mahalo, Cinnabites. I'm heading to the upstairs basement to chill. Bye-bye.
Hey, is there a bathroom up there? Because then you could do an upper decker in the upper basement.
No, dude, not in that upstairs basement. You can put your cigarette out on the floor. You can cum on the floor. You can bleed on the floor, and you can just piss on the floor.
And you know what? I got to close this show out in the classic words of Uncle Frank. Jesus wept. Good night, everybody.
And in the immortal words of Uncle Frank from Home Alone 2, put that in your purse. Put that in your purse.
Jesus wept, Uncle Frank.
God. Clyde Barker's like, I don't believe in God, so I'm going to say something right here that's going to definitely